What's up, guys? I'm Heath. This is Forged America. Back with another leather tutorial for you guys. After the last leather tutorial we did, you had a lot of questions, but the most popular question that everybody had was how did we create our distressed vintage leather look? How we make, our leather look distressed. How we have it give it that vintage look like it's been used, worn, for a long time. If you're a fan of leather, you love leather as much as we do, then you probably agree that leather looks better with age. The older it gets, the better it looks. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how we do our distressing, our leather distressing and finishing process on our leather pieces. Alright, so what we have here, this is a wallet that we've just gotten dyed and dried in. Very important that you want to make sure all of your pieces are dried thoroughly. I usually let my pieces dry for about 24 hours before I try to do anything with it. You can hang it outside on a nice sunny day. I don't recommend hanging it outside to dry it on a hot day because it can really make the leather really stiff. Leather is going to be stiff anyway when you dry it in. Once leather's dried in, it becomes kind of brittle and it doesn't look great. If you look at this piece right here, like it doesn't have this, if you compare these two finishes, I mean, you see the finish on this 9-line piece, it looks really nice and shiny, got a little sheen to it. This is what leather looks like when you finish dyeing it. You haven't done anything else to it. Once it's dried, that's what it looks like. It's very dull. So what we have here is a 320 grit sanding block, and I have a 400 grit sanding block. A lot of people are going to think I'm crazy for doing this, but trust me, it'll look great when I'm done. So all we're going to do is basically you take your sanding block, you're going to sand that in. Now, like I said, this is a 320. You can go right over it. Don't lean in on it too much. You don't want to go heavy. Sorry if the camera's shaking. My bad. Don't lean in on it too much. Kind of concentrate on the edges and the corners first. Just kind of, you ain't got to lean in on it. Just keep going over it until you kind of get the desired distressing that you want. We're going to move on here. This is going to be the front. This is actually a wallet. Going to be the front of this one. Any scarring or anything that's in the leather, if you have like sometimes when you buy leather, it'll have scars in it. I think that makes it look better when you kind of sand over a scar and make it look like it's got that kind of vintage look to it. I think it looks kind of cool. Look at that. That looks great. I'll finish these pieces up and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now we've got all the pieces distressed. They all have a distressing. It's right where I want it to be. Going to take a wool buffing pad. You can get these. We actually are going to start carrying them on our site, so but you can get them on Amazon, anywhere. It's just a wool buffing pad. After you've done this distressing portion, just buff over it, get the dust off of it. You're going to have some dust on there. One thing I do want to point out, when you're using leather, don't go economy. Don't try to go economy on your leather. If you go economy on your leather, you're going to get economy pieces. You're never going to get a really great leather creation, a great leather piece, if you're just using economy leather. I use top grain leather. There's dozens of reputable leather manufacturers, distributors out there you can use. That I usually just go for their highest veg tan hides that they have, the highest grain veg tan leather. It's always good to work your leather. I pretty much after every step I like to work my leather a little bit. Just work it just a little bit. Yeah, get it in there. All right, moving on. Now that we've distressed it, we've buffed it, we've gotten all the dust off of it, we're going to put a little oil into it. I use Neat's Fit oil. I just use a napkin, paper towel. I find that's a little bit better than using a cloth piece. Cloth tends to soak it up too much and you wind up having to do multiple passes. That's why I like using a paper towel. Now I know it looks really dark right now, but that's okay. You can let that oil dry in. I usually like to work my oil in a little bit, work it in real good. Yeah, you can already see. You can already see that this piece right here is starting to come to life. It looks really good. Let's take these other pieces and do the same thing. Just take your oil, just run right across that bad boy. That's what I'm talking about right there. This is the front of the wallet right here. Yeah. Work it in. Work it in. Looks good. Look at that. This is our custom piece we're doing for a fella. Looks good. Got a little scarring on there. It's gonna look really good once it's finished. All right. All right. Stay tuned. We'll be back. All right. So now we've let the oil kind of sit there in it for about 20-25 minutes. Now, you'll take your buffing pad, you go right back in there again. You'll start buffing them up. Now, what it does, every time you buff the leather, you add to the smoothness of the outside of it. It gives it a little bit of a sheen. There's always going to be a little like a dull coating until you put your final finish on. Working with leather is a lot like working with wood. It stays kind of dull until you put your final finish on there. This right here and right here, when you buff it, kind of evens out your distressed portions. Kind of drags all that oil a little bit. That's our logo. Looks great, don't it? This is going to be a really nice piece. Just buff it all off. Take your time with it. Leather's very forgiving, but you still have to be patient with it. It's very forgiving. You can mess up a piece, you think you've just completely ruined it, and come to find out you've actually made it look even better. It's very forgiving, but it is a process. And our processes that we use here, we don't skip processes. Kind of give you guys an idea what this is going to look like when it's done. So what you'll have is, just give you an idea before we put the finish on it. Let that oil kind of soak in a little bit more. Stack it right here. This wallet right here, that's one of my favorite wallets. It's a minimalist wallet, fits in your front pocket. When it's done, you can already see how, see, just look at that. Got that vintage kind of distressed look. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. We put this coat of Resolene on it here in just a second. It will be fabulous. All right, moment of truth. This right here's where it can get a little tedious. Got to kind of be careful and pay attention what you're doing here. All right, so now we're going to put the final coating on. This is the finish. This is what kind of brings out that little sheen and shine that you see on leather. I use these foam paint brushes. Different people use different stuff. I prefer these. What you want to do, you want to get a nice, steady, even coat. One dip for one brush. There you go. Nice, even coat of Resolene on there. I use Resolene. There's different finishes you can use. You got Sadillac, you got, you know, tons of stuff out there that you can use. I use Fiebing's Resolene. Like I said, we're going to start carrying a lot of these products on our website. Even coat. There you go. Nice, even, steady coat. Perfect. That looks perfect. You don't want to get too much. Too much is going to give you a kind of a plasticky look to your leather. Kind of makes it look like pleather and not leather. If people wanted pleather, they wouldn't need to watch these videos. All right. Now, right here, if you can see where the initials, the KAT are, anytime you Resolene, what you want to make sure is right here in this area, you want to make sure the Resolene gets all down in this area right here. And all of your engraving, you want it to get evenly in there. It's something that takes a little bit of practice, a little bit of time, but once you get it down, it's no biggie. There we go. Even, steady coat. Perfect. Perfect. Now, these pieces. We're just going to let these pieces sit here and dry for a little bit. It doesn't take long to dry. I usually let these things dry about 10, 15 minutes. Look at that. You can already see that shine coming out, can't you? Look at there. Yes. And when it completely dries, which in over a course of an hour or so, these edges are really going to come out. These edges where we've distressed it are really going to come out. It's going to pop. Look really good. Got a little shadowing right there on the edge. Look at there. You can kind of see it. Oh yeah. Get those initials in there. That looks great. Ghetto Fabuloso, amigo. I just made that up. All right, we'll be back. Okay, so we're back. Right here I've got a super fine sanding grit. This is about a 450 sanding block. What we're going to do, we're going to take this after our Resolene's dried in good, lightly buff over it with this sanding block. Wow. And what that's going to do, that's going to just shave off a little bit of that extra shine that was on there. Because what you want, you want a wallet that's looking nice and vintage, nice and like it's been worn. As leather wears, it kind of has that shine and gets that smooth surface to it, that really smooth surface. And that's what you're left with. Just take that, like I said, get your super fine sanding block. Don't lean in on it. Like I said, this is finished work right here, man. This is where it's at. This is going to be, you can just look at the colors in that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look. Awesome sauce, baby. Awesome sauce. One thing I do want to add, I mentioned earlier that you don't want to cut corners. You have to, it's a process. Don't try to distress finished leather. In other words, don't order a leather piece or go to the store and get you a leather cuff or bracelet or whatever and try to distress it, because the finish on these things, on any piece that you buy, finished piece, like if it's done with Resolene like this, Resolene is an acrylic base. It's acrylic. So if you try to distress that with sandpaper, what you're going to wind up doing is basically destroying the color of your piece. It'll just completely destroy it. It'll look terrible. It'll burn it, actually. Look at that. All right. That's great. That looks awesome. Smooth as a baby's butt. Now the only thing left to do is stitch it and finish her up. We'll be back. So there you have it, guys. That's how we do our distressed leather pieces, our vintage leather swag. I hope you guys liked the video. I hope you learned something from the video. Comment below, let me know what you think. Any questions you might have about future videos you want us to do, feel free to throw it in the comment section below. I'll get to it, I promise you I will. We've got a lot of things coming up here at Forged America. We've got cooking videos, we've got recipe videos, we've got all kind of stuff coming. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, So you'll see every time we put up a new video. Thank you guys for watching. Love y'all. Till next time. Peace out.